What is wilderness? Wilderness is not just a tract of land that is in a natural condition. It is a place where natural systems thrive across entire landscapes, largely undisturbed by modern technological society. Wilderness is also a place where a visitor can have a profound sense of being immersed in the natural world. For this to be possible, wilderness must be natural, remote and primitive, that is, largely free of the sights and sounds of modern technological society. A wide variety of definitions of wilderness has been developed and adopted by governments, intergovernmental agencies, wilderness researchers, and environmental non-government organisations. Most of these definitions emphasise the ecological values of wilderness. But few definitions emphasise the human experience of wilderness. In fact, some definitions don't even mention the human experience. The human experience of wilderness includes recreation, artistic and spiritual inspiration, challenge, solitude, the appreciation of the beauty of wilderness, and the solace of knowing that wilderness exists, even for those who may never go there. A particular weakness of existing definitions of wilderness is that few of them acknowledge the significance of remoteness. Yet remoteness is an essential part of the wilderness experience, and it contributes to the protection of ecological values on a landscape scale. Many definitions require wilderness areas to be large, but requiring an area to be large does not necessarily ensure that it will contain remote country. We can demonstrate this with an example. Consider this natural area, shaded green, in northwest Tasmania. The area is large and predominantly natural, so by many definitions it would qualify as a wilderness area. Suppose we cut out part of this area to allow construction of a road and mine. The remaining area would still be large, so according to many definitions, it would still be a wilderness area. In fact, if large size is our guide as to what qualifies as wilderness, it is not clear that the development would have much impact on wilderness. But the development would cut out the heart of what was previously a wild area. Another way to demonstrate the impact of the development is to consider the effect that it has on the remoteness of the region. The darker shading shows how much of the original area was at least 5 kilometres remote from the nearest road. Here's how much remote country is left once the mine and road are constructed. Clearly, the remoteness of the area has been seriously compromised. So defining wilderness in terms of size doesn't ensure that it will contain remote country and doesn't provide a means for protecting remoteness. In our document Refining the Definition of Wilderness, we critique existing definitions of wilderness and propose an alternative definition. We define wilderness to be land characterized by a high degree of biophysical naturalness, linear remoteness from infrastructure and landscape disturbances, time remoteness from points of mechanized access, and having minimal evidence of modern technological society. In simpler language, we are saying that wilderness is land that is in a largely natural condition, that is remote in distance from infrastructure such as roads, dams and buildings, remote in time from places accessible by vehicles, including off-road vehicles, and that is largely free of disturbances such as the sight and sound of helicopters. Under our definition, wilderness can include areas that are or have been inhabited or influenced by indigenous people following predominantly hunter-gatherer ways of life. Requiring wilderness to be remote has implications for wilderness protection and management. In particular, for wilderness to be remote, it must be surrounded by an area that makes it remote. We call this surrounding area a remoting buffer. To maintain the remoteness of a wilderness area, the wilderness area and its remoting buffer must both be kept free of major structures, landscape disturbances, and vehicular access. A wilderness area, together with its remoting buffer, will necessarily be natural, large, and intact. These qualities of naturalness, largeness, and intactness make the region well suited for protecting ecological values, as well as for protecting the human experience of wilderness. How we define wilderness reflects the values that we associate with wilderness and that we hold to be worth protecting. The definition that we have proposed acknowledges and will help to protect the experiential and ecological values of remote, natural, primitive land.